Let me ask you something. What if I told you that one of the most debated foods in all of nutrition science is sitting in your refrigerator right now, and that most of what you've been told about it is either outdated, exaggerated, or flat out wrong? I'm talking about eggs. Specifically, what actually happens inside your body when you eat 3 to 4 eggs every single day. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you are going to look at your breakfast very differently. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily Walker, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the science of daily egg consumption, what it does to your cholesterol, your heart, your brain, your hormones, your metabolism, and even your longevity. And I'm not going to give you vague generalities. We're going to talk real studies, real data, and real clinical insight. So stay with me because what's coming up around the midpoint of this video is going to genuinely surprise you. Let's start at the very beginning. For decades, and I mean from roughly the 1960s all the way into the early 2000s, eggs were the villain of the American diet. The American Heart Association at one point recommended eating no more than 3 whole eggs per week. The reasoning was simple and at the time seemed logical. Eggs are rich in dietary cholesterol, and high blood cholesterol was linked to heart disease. Therefore, eggs must cause heart disease. That was the story. And it stuck. Generations of people switched to egg whites, threw away the yolk, or avoided eggs altogether out of fear. But here's what was missing from that story: context. The science of nutrition had not yet caught up with the complexity of how the human body actually processes cholesterol. And when researchers started doing the deeper work, the findings were startling. It turned out that dietary cholesterol, the cholesterol you eat, has a far smaller effect on blood cholesterol levels than saturated fat and trans fat do. Your liver, which produces about 75 to 80% of all the cholesterol in your body, actually compensates when you eat more cholesterol from food. It simply produces less of its own. This compensatory mechanism is called cholesterol homeostasis, and the majority of people, roughly 70%, are what we call hyporesponders. That means when they eat more dietary cholesterol, their blood cholesterol levels barely move. Now, there is a subset of the population, about 25 to 30%, called hyperresponders. These individuals do see a rise in LDL when they consume dietary cholesterol. But even within this group, the story is more nuanced than more LDL equals more danger. In many hyperresponders, both LDL and HDL rise together, keeping the ratio stable. And increasingly, the research community is recognizing that LDL particle size matters far more than LDL total count. Large, buoyant LDL particles are relatively benign. It's the small, dense LDL particles, driven more by refined carbohydrates and sugar than by eggs, that are the real culprits in cardiovascular disease. So what does the current research actually say about eating 3 to 4 eggs a day? A landmark meta-analysis published in the British Medical Journal reviewed data from over 1.7 million participants across multiple countries and found no significant association between egg consumption and cardiovascular disease in healthy populations. A separate study out of China, published in the journal Heart, followed over 460,000 adults for nearly 9 years and found that people who ate eggs daily had a 26% lower risk of hemorrhagic stroke and an 18% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those who rarely or never ate eggs. Now let that sink in. Not a higher risk, a lower risk. But let's move beyond cholesterol and talk about what's actually inside an egg, because this is where things get genuinely fascinating. A single large egg contains about 6 to 7 grams of high-quality complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot produce on its own. The protein in eggs has a biological value of 100, which is actually used as the reference standard against which all other proteins are measured. That means when you eat 3 to 4 eggs a day, you're consuming roughly 20 to 28 grams of some of the most bioavailable protein on the planet. For muscle synthesis, tissue repair, enzyme production, immune function, and satiety, this is extraordinarily valuable. And the yolk, the part so many people were discarding, is where the true nutritional treasure lies. Each yolk contains vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K2, B12, riboflavin, folate, phosphorus, selenium, iodine, and zinc. It also contains two incredibly important carotenoids, lutein and zeaxanthin. These compounds accumulate in the macula of your eye and act as a natural filter against harmful blue light, significantly reducing the risk of age-related macular degeneration, which is one of the leading causes of blindness in adults over 60. No supplement comes close to the bioavailability of lutein and zeaxanthin from egg yolk. Now here's the nutrient I want to spend a moment on because most people have never even heard of it: choline. Choline is classified as an essential nutrient, meaning your body cannot produce enough of it on its own and you must get it from food. And the vast majority of people are not getting nearly enough. The adequate intake for adults is 425 to 550 milligrams per day. One egg yolk contains about 150 milligrams. So 3 to 4 eggs a day gets you well on your way to meeting your daily choline requirement. Why does this matter? Because choline is a structural component of every single cell membrane in your body. It is the precursor to acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter responsible for memory, learning, attention, and muscle control. Low choline is associated with fatty liver disease, cognitive decline, neural tube defects in pregnancy, and poor muscle function. Studies have found that higher dietary choline intake is linked to better performance on memory tests and a reduced risk of dementia. For pregnant women especially, adequate choline during fetal development is critical for the baby's brain architecture. Let's talk about what eating 3 to 4 eggs daily does to your metabolism. Eggs are highly satiating. The combination of protein and dietary fat, yes, healthy fat, including oleic acid, the same fat found in olive oil, triggers the release of satiety hormones, particularly peptide YY and GLP-1. In one study published in the International Journal of Obesity, overweight participants who ate an egg-based breakfast consumed significantly fewer calories over the next 36 hours compared to those who ate a bagel breakfast with equivalent calories. The egg group reported lower hunger ratings and higher energy levels throughout the day. This is the power of nutrient density. Your body knows the difference between calories that carry functional information and calories that don't. For anyone managing blood sugar, whether you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, or just metabolically conscious, eggs are essentially a zero glycemic food. They cause no spike in blood glucose and no corresponding insulin surge. When paired with other whole foods, eggs actually help blunt the glycemic response of the overall meal. Several studies have looked at egg consumption in people with type 2 diabetes and found no negative effects on cardiovascular markers, and in some cases, improvements in HDL cholesterol and reduced triglycerides. Speaking of triglycerides, when eggs come from pasture-raised hens, the omega-3 fatty acid content increases significantly. Pasture-raised eggs can contain up to 5 times more omega-3s than conventional eggs. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, are anti-inflammatory, lower triglycerides, support brain health, and are protective against depression and anxiety. So the quality of your eggs matters. If you can access them, pasture-raised or omega-3 enriched eggs are a meaningful upgrade. Now I want to address something that comes up in my practice regularly. Patients ask me, "Dr. Walker, I've heard eggs can cause inflammation. Is that true?" The short answer is, for the vast majority of healthy people, no. In fact, eggs contain several anti-inflammatory compounds, including lutein, zeaxanthin, and selenium. Where the confusion arises is in how eggs are prepared and what they're eaten with. Scrambled eggs cooked in refined vegetable oil alongside processed breakfast meats and white toast. That entire meal pattern is inflammatory. The eggs themselves are not the problem. How you cook them and what surrounds them matters enormously. For maximum nutrient retention, soft-boiled or poached is ideal. Hard cooking oxidizes some of the cholesterol in the yolk, and frying at high heat can degrade some heat-sensitive vitamins. There's also the question of food safety and salmonella risk, which I want to address honestly. Salmonella contamination in eggs is real, but statistically rare, affecting approximately 1 in 20,000 eggs in the United States. Proper storage, refrigeration below 40 degrees Celsius, and thorough cooking significantly reduce this risk. For healthy adults, lightly cooked eggs like soft scrambled or poached carry minimal risk. For immunocompromised individuals, the elderly, pregnant women, or young children, fully cooked eggs are the safer choice. Now let me tell you about something that often surprises my patients: the relationship between eggs and hormones. Dietary fat and dietary cholesterol are actually the raw materials from which your body synthesizes steroid hormones, including testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and cortisol. Cholesterol is the direct precursor to all steroid hormones. This is not a controversial point. It is basic biochemistry. Men and women who consume very low-fat, very low cholesterol diets often find that their hormone levels suffer. Athletes in particular, especially those in endurance sports or those following calorie-restricted diets, frequently show depressed testosterone levels, and inadequate dietary fat is a contributing factor. 3 to 4 eggs a day provides a meaningful contribution of the raw materials your endocrine system needs to function properly. I also want to touch on what daily egg consumption means for older adults, because the nutritional needs of aging bodies are different. As we age, our ability to synthesize protein declines, our appetite often decreases, and sarcopenia, the loss of muscle mass, becomes a serious health threat. Sarcopenia is associated with falls, fractures, metabolic slowdown, insulin resistance, and mortality. Eggs are one of the most accessible, affordable, and effective foods for combating sarcopenia in older populations. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who consumed more dietary protein, particularly high-quality complete protein, maintained greater muscle mass and functional strength over time. The leucine content of eggs, leucine is the amino acid that directly triggers muscle protein synthesis, is particularly beneficial in this context. For children and adolescents, the choline, DHA, iodine, and complete protein in eggs support brain development, cognitive function, and physical growth. There is no strong scientific basis for restricting egg intake in healthy children, and in populations where food insecurity is a concern, eggs represent one of the most nutritionally complete and affordable foods available. So let's bring this all together. When a healthy adult eats 3 to 4 eggs daily, here is what the evidence suggests is likely to happen. Their LDL cholesterol may rise modestly in some individuals, but typically within a pattern that does not increase cardiovascular risk. Their HDL, the protective cholesterol, often rises as well. Their choline intake improves significantly, supporting brain, liver, and cellular health. Their protein intake becomes more adequate for muscle maintenance and repair. Their eye health benefits from increased lutein and zeaxanthin. Their appetite regulation improves due to enhanced satiety signaling. Their hormone production is better supported. And their overall nutrient status, across vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, is meaningfully elevated. There are individuals who should exercise more caution. Those with familial hypercholesterolemia, a genetic condition causing very high LDL regardless of diet. Those who have demonstrated significant hyperresponse to dietary cholesterol. And those with a personal history of cardiovascular events who are being closely managed by a cardiologist. For these individuals, the discussion around egg intake should happen with their physician and be informed by their specific labs and history. But for the general healthy population, the fear-based egg restriction of the past few decades is not supported by the weight of current evidence. One final thought before I close. Nutrition science is evolving constantly. And one of the most important things I can do as a physician is challenge outdated dogma when the evidence demands it. The demonization of eggs was based on oversimplified science and has likely done a disservice to millions of people who avoided a nutrient-dense, affordable, whole food based on fear. The question was never really, are eggs bad? The question was always, what is the full picture? And the full picture, from cholesterol biology to choline to protein quality to eye health to hormone support, makes a compelling case for eggs as one of the most well-rounded foods available to us. As with everything in nutrition, context matters. Diet quality overall, lifestyle, individual genetics, cooking methods, and food combinations all play a role. 3 to 4 eggs per day, as part of a diet rich in vegetables, whole foods, and adequate fiber, is something the current science broadly supports for most healthy adults. If this video gave you something to think about, or if you're finally going to stop throwing away your egg yolks, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who deserve accurate, evidence-based health information rather than nutrition myths dressed up as science. And if you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications, because every week I break down a health topic like this, cutting through the noise and giving you the research-backed truth. Next week, we're tackling a topic that's generating a lot of buzz right now: what daily seed oils are actually doing to your cells, and whether the latest research is as alarming as some people claim. You do not want to miss that one. Until then, take care of your body. It's the only one you have.